Hi, guys. I wanted to introduce the wonderful David Allen Basche, who is one of the stars and producers of Egg. Hi.
Hi, thanks for coming, everybody.
You may have noticed we have an unexpectedly empty chair. Alysia is on set on Orange is the New Black and was supposed to have gotten out by 7:30 at the latest.
But they added a crane shot.
And I know a lot of you guys have worked on Orange is the New Black, so you know what it's like.
It's terrible. Anytime they say, oh, we just have to set up the crane, you're like, I got 4 hours, I'm going to take a nap. So she sends her deep regrets. But actually, we're going to try, if you don't mind, normally I would never do this. I'm actually going to turn the sound on my phone on instead of off because she said, oh my God, I feel so bad. And they all came, and I want to FaceTime with them. And I was like, okay. So otherwise, if it's not the babysitter, it'll be my wife and Alysia, who I think was very good in the movie. And then she'll, I'll tell her you said that. And so if that rings, you'll know why.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi.
I was interested by your involvement with the script because you and Alysia originally came across the script 10 years ago. And then how did it kind of re-come about for you both?
Yeah, we read the script a little bit more than 10 years ago. And I know that because we have a 10-year-old daughter and we did not have children when we read it. And when we read it, even though we didn't have children, we were like, oh my God, this has a whole ton of cool stuff to say about the decision to have children or not. I felt that way, so I'm sure that Alysia, I'll probably gesture. We've been married a long time, so I'll probably gesture a lot like this. I know Alysia must have felt that way, and we had read it and loved it, and we loved Risa, the writer, and we said, wow, we really want to do something with this and maybe produce it, and she was kind of like, do you know how to produce? Like, you guys are actors. And we were like, well, we kind of... And then Alysia and I got busy as actors, and it just fell by the wayside, as a lot of things do. But we've never been actors who wait, we create. That's our motto, is don't wait, create. Turns out we made another film, made a feature, and then we bumped into Risa, and she said, oh my God, I saw that other feature you made. Like, that was a real movie. Like, you guys really produce. You know, little did she know how many things went wrong. But and we said, yeah. And she said, I have a new version of Egg. Are you still interested in that? And I started quoting lines from the script to her because I remembered it 10 years later. And they were most of the lines that you jeered at, by the way. Those are the ones which I loved. So yeah, we read it and we kind of thought we were not going to make another movie. Producing is really hard. And we're both, we like to act, like give us a script and then let us say the words and go home. But it was too good. We had to. You know, Hillary was running for president, and this is like, I don't know. I literally am the token male. And Benga, I think, gives a great performance, but in terms of the production and the production team, I was one of a handful of men. We were 70% women on the crew, and that was very purposeful, which Alysia wanted to do.
And it was every single department head as well, correct?
Every single department head was a woman except for the gaffer. Still very hard to find. Yeah. And we found a few, but they were busy. They were working because there's only a few of them. But that was something Alysia and Michelle, our other producing partner, to be fair, it was the three of us. It was a triangle. Michelle Gainless, who was the president of Comedy Central for many years and had just left Comedy Central, and she found Alysia and said, I think you're a super smart, strong, powerful, creative woman, and I want to know you and do something with you. And that was the week that we had bumped into Risa. And Alysia said, want to make a movie? And Michelle, idiotically, said yes, not knowing what she was getting into. So the script had stayed with us for a long time, and we knew we wanted to make it, and it almost kind of fell in our lap, and we were like, sometimes that happens, you know, as artists, we read something and it stays with us, or we like, I have to do something with this, even if it's something we procrastinate, and we're like, I'm not gonna, and then eventually you're like, I gotta do this, I have to find a way to tell this story or express something, and so here we are.
But what's quite interesting about the journey of you both coming on as producers is that then you were in the position of choosing the director rather than waiting for a director to choose you. So what was it about Mariana and like her previous work? She has such amazing previous work.
Tell us the titles of some of her previous work.
Good Dick and Bitch.
There you go.
But she really isn't afraid to pull punches and go into deep unlikable characters, as we call them now.
No, it's true. Wait, this is for the photographer, as if Alicia's here. Do we get it? All right. Yeah, Mariana's spectacular. She's a spectacular woman. She's incredibly intelligent and funny and compassionate. It was not easy to find a female director. And Alysia and Michelle and I sat down and we said, we're going to hire women. In many cases, we're going to pay the women more than the men, and fuck everybody else who says no. And that's the thing about being the boss, which you never are as an actor. You're like, can I please, I just need that day off, or can I just put me in the one more episode? We were the bosses, and we were like, no, that's how we're going to do it, right? And I will quote my wife, since she's not here, and she always says, just don't talk about it, just do it. Just make the change. You don't have to talk about hiring women, just hire women. That's it. And Michelle, to her credit, always says, and which is nice to hear from sort of someone who's been in a corporate setting, is you don't try, you just do it. And she would say to people who worked for her, if they said, well, we're trying to hire a female, she would say, stop trying, just do it. And just come back to me with the right person, right? So finding a female director who had some experience in features, who we thought we could trust our investors' money with, who we thought understood the story, there's a short list, and they're all busy working. And the reason is because there's not enough of them, because nobody's giving them the chances that they're giving male directors. And so the handful of them are really busy, and it was really hard to find someone. But we had heard about Mariana, and I had seen Bitch and knew that she was at Sundance the year that we were at Sundance with Equity, with our last film. And I just took a shot and I said, hey, would you be interested in doing something that you didn't write, because she's a writer-director? And she said yes, and she kind of came back to us with her take on it. And she said, I see it very much like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, and I want to really focus on the characters, and I know it's talky, and I know it's in the one place, but I think we need to turn that into a strength. And she was great. So it wasn't easy to find her, but it was a lot of throwing spaghetti at the wall, a lot of other female directors passing. And thank God they passed, because she was the absolute right person.
Mariana also has a really extensive background as an actor herself. Yeah. So was that part of the appeal of her in addition to the rest of it? And then what do you think that added to her directing style and the language that you were able to communicate with her?
Yes, and yes. As actors, we love directors that have acted before, because they don't usually. They don't patronize you. They don't give you line readings. They don't physically tell you where to stand over here, right? Which I've had happen to me. And she was all that and more. She, as an actor, she knows how to communicate with actors, and particularly because there's some really kind of deep, meaningful issues about motherhood and being a woman and giving up your career as a woman, or refusing to give up your career, and I think it was very intimate. There were a lot of the subject matter especially for Alysia and Christina and Anna was very intimate, and having a woman who knows how to talk to actors as well as being someone who's smart and compassionate, I think it was a joy. Yeah.
And you only had a couple of days rehearsal, so what were the main goals that you all wanted to get out of that limited rehearsal time?
The cast was great. Except for that Don guy, but they all agreed to come in a couple days early, which is no small feat, especially since Christina was doing the Romanovs in Prague or something. And so it was great. They all agreed to come in early and do kind of very theater-like rehearsals. We had the space. We were still building it while we were rehearsing. And the goal of that was just for Zelmira, Zell, our DP, and Mariana to just see us in the space. And I'm glad that we did that, because as actors, I can only speak for myself and Alysia, because we talked about it. I don't know how Christina and Anna and Benga felt, but our goal was to mobilize it, was to move it, was to give it a little bit more energy. So anytime, and Mariana did that as well, but anytime you see Don cross somewhere, it's because I was being a pain in the ass, and I was like, I'm just going to get up and go. I'm going to go, follow me this way. And so the rehearsal really helped that. Sometimes as an actor, I feel like I do that too much, and I should learn to stand still. Don't pace, just stand still, say the lines, just trust it. But in this case, in something that is primarily one location, I think the rehearsal really served us that we were able to go over to the other side where the art was, and then go into the kitchen, and then Christina and Alysia end up on that chaise. Is that how you say that?
Chaise lounge.
Chaise lounge.
Just say it really quick. Chaise lounge.
They're on the couch thingy, and that was a more intimate scene, the two of them, and
that scene between the
rehearsal's
two
a
of them
luxury. I mean, it's
beautiful.
in film, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And usually, as an actor, you're like, "Hello, this is meet your person you've been married to for 20 years, and your child just died, and go." So, you know.
Yeah. And did the singular location allow you to shoot it a little bit more in order, and for it to feel a little bit more like a theater piece, which it reads like on screen? And
yes, and Mariana said, "I want to shoot." Sorry, Mariana, wherever you are, but I'm going to do her accent because she's from Scotland, and I love it. And she's like, "Right, so I want to shoot the whole thing in order. It's going to be beautiful. We're just going to shoot it, and that way it'll feel really organic. It's going to be great. It's going to be, And she was so excited. And as a producer, I was like, "We're not fucking doing that, no." But we stuck to mostly in order. The scene that you saw in the studio where they go upstairs was not where it happened in the film. It was a little bit earlier, and it was all about schedule, and we only had Anna camp for 5 days. So we shot a lot of Anna's stuff, not where Anna would appear in the film, and all that is just location dependent and schedule dependent. But mostly we were more in order, more in sequence than anything I've ever shot before as an actor, for sure. Yeah, for sure. And that really helped because you don't feel as lost. And
I also loved learning just now that the film was shot in a location that was transitioning. It used to be a bank. And did that really help with the intimacy amongst the cast and the crew just to be in this literally enclosed?
Oh, wait, there she is. Wait, okay, about to rehearse.
Oh,
okay,
no.
wait, watch this. Okay, okay.
Stand by.
Face. Okay, FaceTime as soon as you can. We'd all
Everyone's waiting with bated
love
breath.
that.
So the first time you've watched texting on a panel?
That's awesome. Yeah, right? Sorry, I just have to take this call. I know,
Yeah.
right? Just put the phone down. The location was really cool. We don't have a studio. We really were just actors who were trying to tell a story, and we decided to make our own work. And it wasn't easy. I don't mean it to sound flip, but without a studio and a lot of money behind you, you got to get creative. And we first we looked at a lot of real artists' lofts, and most of them were the size of sort of these 4 chairs. And that, you can't fit a dolly in there. That won't work. And then some of them we saw had 6 or 8 artists that share a space, and 2 of them were willing to leave for 15 days, and the other 6 were like, "Well, I have to paint," and we were like, "Well, we have to make a movie," and we didn't want to kick any artists. We don't want to stop another artist from doing their work. That wasn't the goal. So I'm trying not to be too long-winded. So we found this bank building. It was the abandoned New Rochelle Savings Bank, and we came to it through a much longer story. Someone basically saying, "Hey, I have an idea." Like, it's sitting there empty. Maybe you guys, New Rochelle would love to have a film there. They like filming, and I know the head of the business improvement district there, and I'll introduce you. And Ralph said, "Oh, wait a minute."
And Alysia said,
"Wait, hold on. Oh, no, but you can't show that, though." "Oh, great. Well, then, all right. I'm just not going to answer. Don't tell anyone I didn't answer my wife's text."
it's on video forever.
The building was a bank. So the point is, it was like 8,000 square feet. The ceilings were about as high as this theater. It was abandoned. And a bank, which I didn't really think about, is 4 feet of concrete on all sides. We never stopped for a siren. We never stopped for a helicopter. We shot in August, and it was cool as a cucumber. I mean, it was like being at Steiner Studios, but, and in return, New Rochelle said, "Keep your dollars here. You'll hire our caterers, go to our restaurants, hire some local people." And we did that, and it was a really symbiotic relationship. And it's interesting, you don't really notice it. I noticed it when we were watching up there in the green room, that when Wayne and Tina fight at the end, and she's like, I want to be vital," and she's like, "I'm not vital," and they cross into the kitchen. They're standing there having this argument, and right behind them is the bank vault door. And I've watched people go, "What what is that? Do you know what that is? I don't know what that is. Behind them. No, behind them. No, the thing with the pole, like it's metal, but I don't know what it is. And we made a decision just not to mention it in the beginning of the movie. And I thought, like, well, when Tina says, yeah, I rented it from a guy who used to grow mushrooms upstairs, I was like, he could say, we think it was a bank, but it just was too on the nose. We decided to let it be a little bit of a mystery, but it worked out great. And the folks from New Rochelle are so excited, by the way. They're coming down this weekend. We open, and they're coming down to see it, and yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
I also really love the camera work in this film and the way that it just allows you to all exist as characters in the space and gently follows you. And I think I was just asking you before about the amount of coverage. It feels like you weren't spending the whole day doing 10 different covers of the same scene. So could you talk a little bit about like that experience as a performer?
We were not doing 10 different covers. We were doing 10 pages. Yeah. So we shot for 15 days in that space, and then one day exterior in Brooklyn, you see Alysia and Benga on the bicycle, those kinds of things outside, the exteriors. And then one day at Brooklyn Fireproof Stages, because if you want that New York State tax incentive, which we love, you have to shoot at least one day at a qualified production facility. And it has to be someplace that's on the list for the mayor's office, and Brooklyn Fireproof Stages was, and they were very kind to us and very helpful, and that was the gallery scene in the end, the 1 year later. So they have a big, beautiful empty room, and we dressed it as the gallery, and that worked out great. But 17 days, and there were days where, in particular, Alysia and Christina were shooting between 8 and 10 pages a day. Yeah, not a lot of coverage.
Yeah. I'm always curious when a film is shot in that short of a space of time, if it kind of helps because you don't really have time to second guess. Like you just have to give your best performance on the one of the first takes.
Yes, and one thing we asked Zell to do was just to tell all the actors, myself included, that this is the master. And sometimes you could feel it as an actor, and you're like, well, what are they doing? They're way over there, and you're like, oh, okay. But sometimes you can't, and in that space you couldn't always tell because they had longer lenses, and so when they, they made clear to us, this is the master, and that's fine, and not that we didn't give our all, but we knew, okay, we probably have one take after that, maybe two. So if the camera goes like this and comes in on the dolly, you're thinking, all right, put up or shut up, like this is it, this is all I'm gonna get. And there was no reshoot, we didn't have any money for reshoots, we can't get back, the bank doesn't exist like that anymore. I mean, we built that whole set. All those windows are fake. Everything was completely manipulated, which really helped us. But none of it is there anymore, so we couldn't go back in. I guess if we were Warner Brothers, we'd say, here's $10 million, rebuild the bank. But no.
And then the chemistry between all of the cast feels really special, and especially because it is just a cast of 5. Did Benga, Anna, or Christina have to audition at all? Or if not, what were the initial conversations and things that they wanted to know about the project from you guys and you needed to hear from them for them to get the part?
Yeah, that's a good question, because you always wonder how that stuff always comes together. But I knew I wanted to play Dawn. Alysia knew she wanted to play Tina. So really, and that was part of the other reason we wanted to produce it. We were like, well, we could cast 3 roles. No problem. We didn't even hire a casting director. We're like, we could do this. Huge mistake. Huge mistake. I mean, I'm not ashamed to say it. That was one of our biggest mistakes. And we have plenty of friends who are casting directors who we love and respect, and we had no idea really why we love and respect them. Like, some of them we like as people, but now we really understand, like, oh my God, the shit they deal with agents. And we should have hired a casting person, right? So we only had 3 roles to fill. All of a sudden, Alysia says, I met Christina Hendricks at the Women's March in January, and we really hit it off. And she's childless by choice. I wonder if she'd be interested in this, playing someone who's pregnant and espousing the exact opposite end of the spectrum, right? And that's all I'll say about that, because that's entirely Christina's business, but isn't that interesting? So we reached out, and she said, send me the script, and she said, oh my God, I love this, I want to do it. Yeah. So we were off and running, and we had 3. And then we told Mariana, she had already come on board, and we told Mariana we were really looking for someone to play Kiki. We had a bunch of different people in mind, and she said, well, my friend Anna Kemp would be great, and I bet she'll do it for me because she really likes me, and it would be fantastic, it'd be beautiful, she'd be great. And then like 10 minutes later, she's like, Anna's gonna do it. She said she loves it. She likes the script. And we said, you sent her the script already? She said, oh yeah, sorry, I sent it to her last week because I was thinking of it. So then we had 4. So Benga was the hardest piece of the puzzle. And those pieces came together accidentally. And then we were looking at it, we were like, this is really white. This is a white people problem movie, and I do not want to be a part of that. Like, and at the very least, and we had also reached out to other actors of diversity, and it was really hard again because some of the best people that we could find were booked, were busy. And again, I say that purely because it's a lack of opportunity, not for any other reason. And so we were determined to cast a diverse actor in that role. And we were lucky to have Benga. He's on Broadway now and To Kill a Mockingbird, and he and Alysia are in The Deuce together. He plays Larry the pimp in The Deuce. It's really good. So yeah, it came together in a very sort of organic way. There were a bunch of bumps along the way in terms of other people that we thought might have played roles, and that's why I said that casting director piece was key. But interesting to see it from the other side, as an actor. Yeah.
And because you mentioned Anna Camp, she's so fantastic, and she brings a really nice lightness and comedy.
Yeah.
But I think you were saying also she's saying some of the smartest things in the room when she's speaking. Could you talk a little bit about the days that she was on set and the tone and welcoming someone new into the family for a few days essentially?
Well, she was great. She had been there for rehearsal, and then she was doing a play. So she came in, rehearsed with us, and then went off to do the play. And then came and worked with us for 5 days. And she's just delightful, and she's really good at playing stupid, but she's whip smart. And and I love when she's like, "It was super awesome meeting you guys." Like and those are scripted lines, but she brought the exact right sense of sort of like blissful ignorance to it almost. I thought she was great, and so whenever she was on set, it was a little notch lighter, which was great. Yeah.
I also think everyone I've talked to who has seen this film because it premiered at Tribeca has had such interesting and different takes on it. And I know also you guys don't know this, but you were being watched briefly earlier because David was sneaking in to listen to you all despise his character's villainous traits.
It was just when I say she's looked better. It's yeah. See, like that. It sounded like that, and I went like this. Yes, good.
But I'm just curious if what have been some of the really interesting and maybe unexpected responses or conversations that have come out of the screenings and audience responses.
Oh yeah, there's been great stuff. I want to ask you guys. I mean, I hope we have time to ask some questions or take some questions, but. We were at a screening the other night, and a gentleman said, "Why was Tina so vindictive?" He was really upset that she ruined the surprise about the sex of his baby, and she told him, "When Elliot is born, you should call him." Why did she do that? And I thought it was horrible of her. Yeah, well, before I could say, and this is the most I've talked about this movie in a year and a half because it's almost always Alysia and Michelle, so thanks, I'll take it. But also, before I could say anything, all of the women in the audience turned to him and said, "That's ridiculous. It was a gift. She was giving her a gift about the name and this, and you can't just vilify her." And that's so it was very interesting to see people's different reactions to it. Yeah.
And then I just wanted to.
And by the way, I just want to say, I'm thrilled that you're here and you wanted to see something and hear something, and it really is truly an independent film. Again, there's no studio money. It's not like it was $10 million, but it's an independent film. No. So thank you for that. And like it or not like it, like you leave here and you're like, I just didn't like it. I'm just happy to talk about it. I'm just happy that someone has something to say about it. It's not like you leave a movie and you're like, Chinese or Japanese? What are we getting? And you don't ever talk about the movie again. And we've all been to those movies, and you're like, eh. And hopefully you don't think like, oh my God, how did that get made? All right. But if you're somewhere above that bar, for me, as an actor and a producer, I'm like, great. Thank you for that. So, yeah.
I also just wanted to ask you about. This is perfect timing because I was about to ask my last question.
Hi, honey. Look, that's everybody.
Hi, everybody.
That's everybody. Wait, where should I?
You're totally frozen, but I'm glad you can see me.
Oh, we could totally see you. We don't care if we're frozen.
Good.
Wait. Oh, yeah, hold on. Wait, is it on?
The crew
No.
has the set, so I have a couple
There we
minutes.
go. The crew has the sets. Very good. Quick, ask Alysia a question.
Hi, how are you? What do you hope that everyone who just saw the film and got to hear David talking about it takes away, or what conversations are you hoping that the film starts?
Wait, what?
What? What? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
What conversations do you hope that the film starts?
Oh, great question. It's my hope that people really think about what it means to be a parent and our traditional tropes and stereotypes around what a quote unquote mother is and what a quote unquote father is. You know, I think in this movie, perhaps the best quote unquote mother or just really parent might be Wayne, who is not a woman. And it's also my hope, I think my deepest hope in our making this movie together was that everybody feel empowered and courageous in their finding their own truth about what brings them happiness and what brings them joy, and really not hanging on to society's dictate around that.
How are you on FaceTime and like twice as eloquent as me? That's just not.
And I've been
God damn it, woman.
long day on set. And I tried to stop drinking coffee at 4 o'clock so I could actually sleep tonight.
I know. And you've been on set all day. Anything else? Anything else?
Any other questions?
I also wanted to ask you, Alysia, so for those of you who don't know, sorry, I'm forgetting my microphone. Alysia's incredibly involved beyond as an actor and a producer who is creating female-driven content and producing really important work. She's also an incredibly involved activist. You know, David was mentioning her being at the Women's March. She's given so much time of her own personal time for no money to organizations like Time's Up. So I just wanted to ask you to speak a little bit about what makes it important to you to not just be on screen telling important stories, but to really use the platform that you have that privilege of having for a wider voice.
Well, I have two things to say about that. One is, like, I remember being a little kid and watching Meryl Streep testify in Congress about pesticides on apples, and then law changed around that. And that was the first time it was an aha moment where I was like, oh my God, as an actor, you actually can talk about other things and it makes change. That's so cool. So yes, I felt deeply like, wow, what an opportunity when you have a voice to share and magnify what you believe in to help incite change and in positive ways. But on another super deep level, I think it's so important as an actor to get out of yourself and be of service. I think when you are the product and you are trying to sell yourself every day, it can be really narcissistic. And it's really delightful, and for me has brought outrageous joy to think, okay, how am I serving the planet today? It grounds me, and it grounds me in my joy as opposed to, you know, the craziness of what's my next job and how do I get my next job.
They're clapping.
Amazing.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thanks, honey.
I want to thank you so much for taking the time to FaceTime in. I know how much this film means to you. And as David mentioned, this is an independent film. Please tell friends, family, anyone you pass on the street to go see it. It opens this Friday, January 18th, Egg the Movie. And thank you so much, Alysia and David.
Thanks, honey.
Thank you. Wait, you want to, Carolina, come over. Come here for a second. Just come over. You guys, you get to see for 1 second. Here's your special reward. That's one of the writers of Orange is the New Black. So that's your bonus that if I was there, you wouldn't get thousands of people. Oh, great. Hi, thousands of people.
Thank you.
Thousands of actors. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, baby. Mwah.
Thanks so much for all coming out tonight.
Thank you.